I'd like to talk to Lake, I think is the name. Lake from California. They want to talk about the images and models of the world and how they are portrayed as myths. And that is kind of what we were talking about. So, Hi, Lake. Did I say, is that Lake?
Okay.
Hey.
Hi there.
What you thinking?
Yeah, just let me close my door.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you just fine. It's a little noisy. So if you want to just kind of sit in one place for a second and let us hear you so we can get all your words out here. But yeah, we can hear you just fine.
What?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. You wanted to talk about images or models of the world and how they're portrayed in myths. That's what I have written down here.
It's it's one of those topics I find pretty interesting, just for its own sake. In addition to apparently, it's much like I don't know if you might know how at least hypothetically a language can shape the way you think. I would imagine.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah.
Very similarly, it would seem like you could call. I'm not sure if you would call a language if it were in terms of images, images in the sense of you ever some chemistry at least boards.
I'm not great at chemistry, so but yeah, I mean, I kind of generally.
I know what H2O is. Does that help?
But it's been a long time since I was in high school, so I'm not gonna remember much. But
it's like an example, image, right? It's not to say it's an appropriate image for chemistry, but just for the sake of argument, it describes the atoms as a planetary system, where maybe if you go in, kind of a little more advanced, I'm not sure who made this image, but it's kind of like a plum pudding or something, or some kind of cloud around that, like a little dot.
Right.
So, I mean, that's just a couple examples. Not to say that, they're like that, but it's just something you use to make sense of the world or something.
Right. So you just wanted to kind of get our take on that. I do find the idea of maybe, okay, let's see if we're on the same track here, because I'm not sure if we are.
Yeah, because I'm not. Yeah, I need to lean in so I can.
The
listen.
Idea of myths and how there's a commonality in how humans think and how humans communicate ideas and storytelling. Right. I do find that fascinating. I think it kind of is that intersection between psychology and language and culture, and there's a lot to that. Is that are we kind of headed in the same direction here? That there is something eerily similar, how a story that from one part of the world you can make it make sense to another part of the world through imagery or through just a different way of telling the story.
There's a lot of commonality with symbolism and certain motifs that are that I've known just now, realizing Sumerian, Greek, a lot of this stuff is universal all over, which I had no idea. So I think it's really cool. So it must be something.
Yeah, I do feel it's something that is super interesting, but probably above my pay grade of understanding, because I feel as a volunteer, that it is it's one of those areas that I'm actively kind of trying to understand more, right? Because there is a lot of, I said, intersections of it, whether it's language and neurology and cultural and just the common human experiences and common human struggles. I think it's the reason why we do get kind of wrapped up in, common myths, and why things like Jungian psychology is interesting to so many people, and that idea of archetypes, and there are these ways of communicating these ideas, right?
That's cool stuff.
I kind of sit back on this, very agnostic on this whole thing, because I'm still kind of sitting back and seeing how it makes sense for me too, because I think that's the point of it, is to look at these things and what is it saying to you about this, and how does it help you understand someone else's experience in it? So I think it's not something that we would put under evidentialist kind of information, but it's one of those things we have to confront, that it's a subjective thing, but maybe a subjective thing that we can kind of all understand. Does that?
Yeah.
It sounds as fluffy as I think it does, doesn't it? But I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts about it, Lake?
In terms of like communication, I guess a good one factor could be, I'm diagnosed like on the spectrum. You know what that means?
Oh yeah, yep.
Autistic. So it could come up as like all over the place. So
you're doing just fine. Yeah, don't worry.
You do. I get you.
I kind of wish I at least had a paper I could show you. Whatever.
Hey, okay, so if you want to, I totally get that. Sometimes communicating this way over phone call is like super challenging. So like if you are interested, you can totally email us a picture if you want to like send something else like that. Like we are here as the show. We are happy to communicate with anybody. If you have a different way of trying to like talk to us or explain something, like go ahead and email us a picture of something that you think would make this make more sense, because explaining it over a phone call is a challenge in itself. So I guess
I mean, I don't really mind if I achieve or not achieve anything. I just at least dip my toes in the water to at least this could be my warm up.
Definitely. I appreciate you calling in. No, you did great. I appreciate you calling in, and like I always kind of want to talk about like whenever I see myth in anything, I'm always fascinated because it can mean so many different things, right? So I appreciate you calling in. Like, did you have anything else to say? Because we are gonna probably wrap it up here. We're right at the end of our show.
Maybe to wrap it up, this first quarter I got finally got my pure math certificate from Maloney College.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Just this first quarter, mailed to me.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. That's great. I'm excited to hear that for you. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for calling in tonight. And definitely, if this was your dip in the toe in the water, give us a call back sometime and we can carry this conversation on.